alive. I'm live. I'm live. Okay. How's everybody doing today? I am excited because I am rebranding. I'm doing a whole bunch of different things, and I do want to share them with you. But gosh, it's so in the middle of it. It's like it's really difficult. So anyway, I'm just going to get started. Mastering Your Boundaries Part 4, because actually that's what I'm here for right now, right? So today, let's see, I'm going to be talking about spiritual boundaries and sexual boundaries. And we're going to be continuing on this journey to identify 6 different types of boundaries. If you're watching live, please hashtag live. If not, please hashtag replay, as always. So last week we talked about emotional boundaries and physical boundaries. And if you missed that video, you can find it on my Facebook business page, which currently is Debbie Pearson Unstoppable, but soon to be Women's Self-Mastery, yay. And, or you can go to my YouTube channel, which is, I think, Debbie Pearson Coaching, but is also going to soon be Women's Self-Mastery. So it's a little bit of a challenge. So hang in there. It'll all get taken care of. You know how it is with all of the tech stuff. So, but I have links in this video's description that you can just click on and it'll take you where you need to go. All right, let's see. Okay, so this video is part 4 of Mastering Your Boundaries, and I'm going to be going over what sexual boundaries and sexual boundaries and material boundaries are. Is that right? That doesn't sound right. Sexual and spiritual. So sorry. Okay, so my definitions of each of these, and I put these two together because they're a little more challenging. It's not very cut and dry. Like person A's spiritual boundaries or spirituality is going to be different than person B's. And what's completely acceptable to one person for sexual boundaries is completely unacceptable to another. So because of that distinction, I just wanted to say that as I go through this, there will be a couple of definitions, but again, it's kind of an all-inclusive as opposed to being like strictly defined, because like I said, everybody's is different. All right. So the big deal is that you know what your boundaries are, and you know what they are by the way that you feel, right? So don't let anybody, not me, not your partner, not your family, oh, I'm going to get in trouble, I know, but don't let anybody tell you that what you feel is wrong. You are having that feeling for a reason. Once looked at, you might decide, oh, maybe having that feeling is not working for me anymore, and you can work to change that. There are skills, let me know. I'll be happy to go over those with you. But if you're having a feeling, honor it. It's trying to tell you something, okay? So, we live in this weird culture right now where women especially are expected to ignore our feelings. But I literally want to give you permission to give yourself permission, because that's really all that matters, is that you're giving yourself permission to feel your feelings, honor your feelings, try to figure out what it is they're trying to tell you. All right, with that, I'm going to get into first sexual boundaries, and then I'm going to talk about spiritual boundaries. So, sexual boundaries. Now, this is you protecting your comfort level. All right. It doesn't have anything to do with whether you're right or wrong or good or bad or what anybody else thinks. It is about you protecting your comfort level, you deciding what is acceptable and what is not acceptable in regards to, say, sexual comments, touching, whether you feel something's appropriate or inappropriate, or an activity that you're like, I don't feel comfortable doing that activity. Honor that, right? I didn't for a long time. I was raised in a way that I felt, and I'm not blaming anybody, it's just the way that my brain processed the information I received was, if a man says, we're going to do X, you don't argue with him. Now, it took me a long time, but I'm very clear now about who I am. So it's not that I'm trying to go against anyone. I'm just clear about who I am. I'm confident in what I think. And because of that, I have mastered who I am. I have self-mastery. I'm very comfortable saying no when I mean no. Okay. So just to give you a little example of what happened in the past, though, I had dated a guy a few times. I felt pretty comfortable with him, but we'd never really been alone. And at this one particular point, we were alone. And he started touching me in a way that made me feel really, really uncomfortable. And I told him I didn't feel comfortable with that, but he started demeaning me, right? He crossed the emotional boundary. What's wrong with you? Are you crazy? Of course, girls like this. I don't know. He didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Everything was my fault. Okay. So, just his way of speaking, though, crossing the emotional boundary, which I had no idea what to call my boundaries back then. I just felt good or felt bad. That was pretty much it. But I became really, really uncomfortable being there with him. And I was actually, I think terrified is a good word, that he might rape me. I was just freaking out. Maybe I'm making that part up. Maybe I'm not, but felt real at the time. So my brain spinning, how do I get out of here? I knew I couldn't just, or I felt like I couldn't just say, I'm done with you and walk out the door. Because what if he said, no, you're not? And he grabbed me back. Like I was really, really afraid. So I pretended like I was starting to feel bad. And I even pretended and went into the bathroom and started pretending like I was throwing up. And I felt like that's what I needed to do. So that's what I did. And I was able to go because when I came back out, I'm like, I really want to go home. I feel sick. He let me go. Guess I grossed him out. I don't know. Hope I grossed him out. I don't know. Anyway, just to get back to, though, the real point of this is we all have a boundary. And in this case, we're talking about sexual boundaries that other people are not allowed to cross. They're just not allowed to. I'm not saying somebody won't take liberties at some point in time, but that's not what this is about. It's about you knowing what your boundaries are, you deciding whether someone can cross them or not cross your boundaries, but step into a certain space or not, whether it's okay with you if a person goes that far, whatever that far is for you. And like I said, unfortunately, women, if you were like me, kind of got trained in a way to ignore my feelings. It didn't really matter what I wanted. It was more about what the guy wanted. And I was trained, I keep saying that word, but trained to comply. An authority figure, right? My mom literally sees men as authority figures. They are above her. And I guess I fell into that for a very, very long time until I learned the truth. And the truth is, nobody's above anybody else. We're all just humans and we just do different things. Okay. All right. So when it comes to the sexual boundary thing, I would pose a question to you or invite you to come up with some thoughts and scenarios for yourself that if you're ever in a situation, and this is going to sound weird, like you can be older and still have some bizarre thing happen, right? Like I remember not so long ago sitting at a desk typing. My boss is in the other room. This guy came in and he was waiting for my boss to come out. And he just walks over and starts massaging my shoulders. It was just horrifying. Like, where did he get the right to do that? He shouldn't have had the right to do that. And so, of course, I jumped back and ran, let me go check out my boss. And I run out the room because I didn't know what to say in that moment. So I invite you to think about different scenarios that may have happened in the past or may possibly happen in the future where you can say, how am I going to act? What am I going to say? What am I going to do if something comes up? The beauty of that is having a frame of reference. It's like you're putting the information in your brain. Okay. All right. It's about being self-aware and staying self-aware and keeping yourself safe, because just because you have a boundary doesn't mean that somebody's going to honor it, unfortunately. Okay. Spiritual boundaries. Of course, if you guys have any questions, please put them in the chat. I'm more than happy to, if I see them while this is running live, I will address them. If not, I will be responding to them later on today within 24 hours. So again, if you're here live, put hashtag live. If not, please put hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. All right, let's get into spiritual boundaries. So what is a spiritual boundary, right? So we hear the word spirituality. We may or may not identify spirituality as something more than religious. You may or may not be religious, but whether you are or aren't, you can have a personal spirituality. Sometimes your spirituality isn't exactly a specific definition that is surrounded by what we typically think of, which is a prayer or meditating or going to a church or a synagogue or whatever. A spiritual practice is something that you do that brings great comfort to you. And sometimes it might even be kind of like a ritual, but there's something very special about it. So much so that if it's interrupted, it's like it's frustrating. It's like, oh, I really like this part of my day. I really want to be able to go through this pattern, this ritual, this spiritual practice. You call it what you want. And if that gets interrupted, I just feel like I'm missing something. For some people, it could be just a certain stretching in the morning or exercising. Could be I get up and I drink my coffee and take the dogs for a walk and spend 30 minutes reading my book. Whatever it is, journaling, meditate, whatever it is, that's your personal time. We just call it a personal spirituality. So it's your spirituality. What is it that you love doing? And what is it that you love doing that, if interrupted, may be frustrating? We'll just call it frustrating. All right. So whatever that is, let's just say it's 45 minutes in the morning, or maybe it's an hour in the evening. You get to choose whatever it is. We need to take care of coveting that time for ourselves. So we cannot stop other people from calling, like, don't call me between 7 and 8 p.m. or a.m. or whatever. We can't expect the entire world to cater to our needs. So we need to cater to our needs. So if that's a really coveted time for you, there are things that you can do to like set yourself up for success, right? Put your phone on airplane mode or silence it, or just because it goes ding, resist the urge to go look and see, is this important? Because 99% of the time it's not important. But you figure out what works for you. You're the one that gets to decide what boundaries am I going to set. And if you live in a household where there's other people, then you may be able to communicate with them from 6 to 7 or whatever the time is. Please don't bother me. Let's make a deal about getting together later or something. And people can honor that. But it is our job as an individual to make sure that our spiritual boundaries are respected. All right, so here is what I would say. What do you like to do? What is your jam? What is yours? Is it in the morning, in the afternoon, maybe before the kids get home, or the husband or the spouse, I should say, the partner comes home? Maybe it's in the evening. You like to have that personal time for yourself. If you chose, I should say, you choose what your boundaries are going to be around that and who you're going to have a conversation with, or if you're just going to like shut your phone off and do your thing, right? So whatever it is that makes you feel expansive, that's filling your cup. And remember, when our cups are full, it is much easier for us to deal with other people. But the only way that our cups get full is if we decide to create a space for ourselves, even if that's with other people. That means your choice, however you want to look at it. But it's like our responsibilities to do it, and it's not other people's responsibilities to make sure that other people don't bother us, right? It is our responsibility. So with that, I invite you to set up your boundaries. Decide what your spiritual practice is, whatever that is, and covet that space. Try it for a week. See what happens. Maybe you'll want to double your time. I don't know. All right. I can't believe I've gone only 15 minutes today, and I'm going to cut this short because this is a good place to end. Remember that I go live every Tuesday at 2 Central on my Facebook business page, which I'm telling you is changing over from what it is now. Pretty soon, by the end of the week, it's going to be Women's Self-Mastery. And then I'm also going to be switching the name on my YouTube channel to the same thing, Women's Self-Mastery. So excited about this. And you're more than, I encourage you to like, subscribe, comment. Let me know what's going on with you. If you have questions, put them down. I'm happy to answer them. All right. Our next video is part 5 of Mastering Your Boundaries. And we're going to continue with the last 2 boundaries that I want to cover. And one is material boundaries, and the other one's kind of a combo, and it's called time and energy boundary. Okay. Time and energy, we're calling one boundary. All right, that's it for now, you guys. I'm Debbie Pearson, helping you master yourself and your emotions. See you next time. Bye.